Listen carefully. Powerful people do not live in the same world, you see. They walk in a quieter realm, one made of veiled allegiances, exchanged favours, silent debts, and subtle hierarchies. The untrained eye perceives casual conversations. The trained mind hears negotiations disguised as laughter. To rise inside this world, you must learn to see what is never said, feel what is never shown, and sense the political temperature of every room you enter. This is the first secret law. Law 1. Status is a silent language spoken without words. Before anyone hears your voice, they measure your presence. Before they know your name, they rank your value. Every room is a marketplace of impressions, and the currency is perception. If you wish to connect with the powerful, you must understand what they value. Composure over excitement, restraint over eagerness, certainty over noise, self-sufficiency over hunger, mystery over transparency. Powerful individuals are not drawn to those who need them. They are drawn to those who could survive without them. Law 2. Appear complete. Sun Tzu wrote, "Invincibility lies in defense." Machiavelli taught, "Men judge more by the eyes than by the hands." Combined, their meaning is this: appear whole, appear stable, appear as if your foundation cannot be shaken by presence or absence. For nothing repels high-status individuals more than the scent of desperation. Your calmness is a fortress. Your silence is armor. Your mystery is a shield. Law 3. The subtle gravity of understatement. When you walk into elite circles, never introduce yourself by what you have done. Let others discover it. People trust power that does not need to announce itself. People follow those who reveal themselves slowly. This is why kings wear crowns, but speak little. This is why generals stand at the front, but save their words for the decisive moment. The less you say, the more space your presence occupies. Law 4. Leverage is the true name of friendship. Among the powerful common people call it friendship. Powerful people call it alignment. Every bond is a transaction, sometimes emotional, sometimes strategic, always consequential. In high circles, loyalty is a tool. Affection is a negotiation. Proximity is a non-verbal contract. Do not be offended by this. Accept it. It is not cynicism. It is architecture. To rise, you must learn the geometry of alliances. Law 5. Relationships must be symmetrical. If you bring too little, you appear weak. If you bring too much, you appear dangerous. The powerful seek balance, a connection that does not burden, does not threaten, does not cling. Be valuable but not boastful. Be useful but not used. Be visible but not loud. You must be the quiet asset, the unspoken advantage, the person whose presence stabilizes the room. Law 6. Proximity is permission. You rise not by forcing your way in, but by being allowed in. Powerful circles operate like temples. There is the outer courtyard, the inner room, and the sanctum. Every level requires a higher degree of subtlety. You earn entry through composure, competence, discretion, emotional stillness, good timing. If you cannot control your impulses, you will always remain outside the gates. Law 7. Emotional control is more valuable than intelligence. Intelligence gathers information. Emotional control determines how you use it. In hierarchies, many fall not from weakness but from impulse. A single emotional leak can reveal your entire strategy. A moment of irritation can expose insecurity. A small display of neediness can collapse your perceived value. The powerful test you constantly, not with direct challenges, but with subtle provocations. Delayed replies, ambiguous compliments, half invitations, controlled distance. They are not being cruel. They are measuring whether you can hold your center. If you cannot, Control yourself. Why would they trust you to influence their world? Law 8. Speak with precision, or not at all words, are seeds of perception. The powerful judge you by what you choose to say and what you choose not to say. Speak like a strategist, not a beggar. Speak softly, but with intention. Speak rarely, but when you do, let your words carry weight. The person who talks the least shapes the landscape of the conversation.
At first, you may not see the blessings. You may only see the ashes. But eventually, patterns will emerge. You'll look back and realize that the friendship that ended made room for your healing, that the job that fell through pushed you toward your calling, that the breakup broke your ego but freed your soul. Every fracture was necessary. Every collapse was the proof that your higher timeline was asserting itself. Your task in this phase isn't to fix the collapse. It's to stay conscious within it, to breathe through the chaos, to remember that you are not being destroyed, you are being rewritten. Reality collapses not because it's against you, but because your soul has issued a higher command. Everything that's leaving is clearing the path for what's already meant for you. So when you feel like everything is falling apart, remind yourself of this truth. Things don't fall apart to punish you. They fall apart to free you. The energy that once sustained your old identity is dissolving, and the space that feels empty now is exactly where your new reality will be born. When your old reality begins to collapse, it rarely looks like a clean or glorious transformation. It often looks messy, confusing, and at times deeply unfair. The signs are subtle, easy to miss, easy to misinterpret, because they don't come dressed in spiritual perfection. They come disguised as discomfort, loss, or stillness. Yet these are the moments when your new timeline is fighting to anchor itself. Let's explore 6 of these subtle but powerful signs, and why most people misunderstand them. One of the first signs your old reality is dissolving is a sudden feeling of disconnection from friends, routines, or even your passions. Things that once lit you up begin to feel dull. Conversations that once energized you now drain you. You may even feel invisible, like the world has gone silent. Most people mistake this disconnection for depression or loss of motivation. They assume something's wrong. But energetically, it's a recalibration. Your vibration is shifting frequencies. The old connections, habits, and environments no longer resonate with who you're becoming. It's as if your soul has unplugged from the old grid, but hasn't yet found a new socket. The space in between feels like emptiness, but in reality, it's sacred stillness. It's the silence before a symphony. The danger here is rushing to fill the void. Many people try to cling to old relationships or jump into new distractions, not realizing the silence itself is the medicine. When you stop resisting it, that emptiness becomes fertile ground for the new you to emerge. Another subtle but startling sign is when your old manifestation methods suddenly stop producing results. The affirmations that once worked feel flat. The routines that used to bring opportunities now yield nothing. It can feel as though the universe has stopped listening. But this isn't punishment. It's promotion. The universe is upgrading your manifestation channel. You're moving from ego-based creation, which relies on force and control, to soul-based creation, which flows through alignment and trust. The reason it feels like nothing works is because the old tools were designed for your old frequency. You can't use the same energetic language in a new reality. The silence you're experiencing is your energetic system syncing to a higher operating mode. Most people misinterpret this stage as failure and regress into fear or over-effort. They start trying harder, which only deepens the resistance. The key is to surrender and listen. The universe isn't ignoring you. It's rewiring you. Sudden endings are one of the clearest signs that the old reality is dismantling. You might lose a job unexpectedly, end a long-term relationship, or experience conflict with people you thought were permanent in your life. Even physical objects, technology, cars, appliances, may start malfunctioning. It's easy to take this personally, or assume you're under bad luck. But endings are energetic closures. The vibration of your new self cannot coexist with certain frequencies, and so without your conscious permission, those ties begin to break. It's painful, yes, because endings trigger our primal fear of loss. But what's truly happening is space clearing. You're being released from contracts that are no longer relevant to your evolution. If you resist, the collapse intensifies. If you surrender, the transition becomes smoother. Every ending is an energetic detox. It's your higher self saying, you can't carry this into the next dimension. When your reality begins to collapse, your emotions may swing wildly. One moment you're calm, the next you're overwhelmed by fear, sadness, or anger. Triggers you thought you had healed resurface. You may cry over nothing, or feel anger without a clear reason. This stage is often misunderstood as regression, as if you've gone backward. But emotionally, it's purging. The collapse of the old reality shakes loose repressed energy stored in the body. You're not becoming emotional because you're weak. You're releasing density. The energy that sustained the old identity is surfacing to leave. Emotions are energy in motion. They move to exit. Most people suppress these feelings because they believe healing means never feeling pain again. In truth, healing means allowing what was buried to rise. The tears, the fear, the bursts of frustration. They're proof that energy is moving out of you. Let them pass through you, not define you. The more you allow, the lighter you become. When your old self begins to dissolve, you'll often find that the world stops applauding you for the things it used to. You may lose recognition at work. People might not notice your efforts. Your achievements suddenly feel invisible. This is one of the hardest signs because it touches your ego directly. The ego equates validation with worth. And when that validation disappears, it feels like rejection. But on a soul level, it's an initiation into self-sourced value. You're being trained to draw energy from your inner being, not from the approval of others. The universe removes the applause, so you can learn to stand in silence. Knowing your worth doesn't need an audience. If you cling to validation, you'll feel broken. But if you embrace solitude, you'll start to feel powerful. Because the moment your worth stops depending on who sees you, you become unstoppable. The final sign, and perhaps the most misunderstood, is the urge to disappear. You may suddenly crave isolation. The parties, calls, and social demands begin to feel heavy. You want to disconnect, to reflect, to start over. Most people interpret this as antisocial behavior or burnout, but spiritually, it's a cocoon phase. The soul retreats inward to rewire its energetic blueprint. Just as a caterpillar isolates itself before transforming, you are being drawn inward so your new frequency can stabilize. It's not that you're losing yourself. You're shedding. This urge to withdraw isn't a rejection of the world. It's a preparation for your reemergence in a higher form. When you honor this instinct, you accelerate the rebirth. When you fight it, you delay it. All 6 signs share a common thread. They look negative but are actually recalibrations. Humanity has been conditioned to equate change with loss, silence with failure, and endings with punishment. That conditioning makes it almost impossible to recognize collapse as progress. We've been taught to chase consistency, to avoid discomfort, and to cling to what's known. But growth is inherently disruptive. The old version of you must fall apart for the new one to exist. The reason most people misinterpret these signs is simple. They measure life through control instead of trust. When things stop working, they panic instead of pausing. When life gets quiet, they assume abandonment instead of alignment. But those who understand the nature of transformation learn to read these signs differently. They know that when reality begins to crumble, the divine architect is redrawing the blueprint. The cracks aren't evidence of failure. They're the proof that new light is entering. When you start to see these signs as sacred rather than scary, everything shifts. Instead of running from the collapse, you begin to work with it. You breathe through it. You listen to what it's teaching you. Because every symptom of disconnection, delay, or dismantling is actually evidence that something magnificent is approaching, a life that finally matches the vibration of who you truly are. The most dangerous part of transformation isn't the breakdown itself. It's the in-between. That hollow stretch of time after the old world collapses, but before the new one takes shape. It's the silence between two heartbeats, the uncertainty between what was and what will be. It's during this time that most people give up, not because they are weak, but because the human mind isn't built to live in limbo. We crave solid ground, even if that ground is familiar pain. The in-between feels like floating with no anchor, and for many that is more frightening than any visible storm. When your old reality dissolves, what really happens is a shift in energetic alignment. You're no longer resonating with your past, yet you haven't fully stabilized in your future. You're walking through what mystics call the void, an energetic corridor where old energies are disassembling and new ones are being assembled. But this corridor has a strange side effect. It feels empty. Calls go unanswered. Opportunities dry up. You feel invisible, as if the universe has muted you.
Law 31. The soft power of neutrality. All hierarchies contain conflict, rivals, jealousies, quiet tensions. If you take sides too early, you become a pawn. If you remain neutral, both sides try to win you. Neutrality is not passivity. Neutrality is leverage. It signals, my alliance is not yet claimed, and that makes you valuable. Law 32. Mirror the vibe, not the ego. When dealing with high-status individuals, do not challenge their ego. Do not outshine them. Do not compete for dominance. Instead, mirror their tempo, their calmness, their pace, their emotional state. Mirroring is not submission. It is synchronization. It says we operate in the same world. Similarity creates safety. Safety creates trust. Trust creates opportunity. Law 33. Become the eye of the storm. Powerful circles are turbulent, big personalities, volatile egos, shifting alliances. Those who rise are those who remain calm while others erupt. Be the one who stays grounded when others panic. Be the one who speaks rationally when others shout. Be the one who sees the long term when others fixate on the short term. Your calm becomes a throne. Law 34. You rise faster through gatekeepers than through kings. Most people beg the king for favor. Smart strategists build relationships with the assistants, the advisors, the event organizers, the confidants, the lieutenants, the quiet operators. They are the ones who whisper, invite him, bring her in. He's reliable. Trust her. The king listens to the people beneath him more than the people begging beside him. Law 35. The unshakable aura of non-neediness. Neediness poisons perception. It signals weakness. It signals instability. It signals lack of self-sufficiency. You must cultivate an aura of, I choose, I do not chase. This does not mean arrogance. It means self-containment. Your life must feel full, even without them. Only then will powerful people allow you into theirs. Law 36. Richness of mind is more valuable than richness of network. Elite circles do not respect. Gossipers, clout chasers, the perpetually distracted. They value those who think deeply, who observe subtly, who analyze situations with strategic clarity. Your mind must become a sanctuary of insight. If you speak, it should feel like a sharpened blade, precise, intentional, unforgettable. Law 37. Never fully align with any one group. In hierarchical ecosystems, alliances shift. Today's ally becomes tomorrow's rival. Today's rival becomes tomorrow's ally. If you bind yourself too tightly to one faction, you limit your future options. Be friendly with all, committed to none, observed by many, influenced by few. This is how you survive change. Law 38. Your reputation should precede you, not chase you. The ideal state is when someone hears your name and says, "I've heard good things. He's solid. She moves differently." They're reliable. Your goal is not fame. It is recognition. Your name should travel quietly through corridors long before you ever walk through them. Law 39. Rise gradually. Appear suddenly. The most powerful ascensions are invisible. You rise through small alliances, small observations, small favors, small demonstrations of reliability. But when opportunity arrives, you steps forward with such quiet confidence that everyone thinks you appeared overnight. The rise was slow. The arrival is explosive. Law 40. When you have power, use it sparingly. The final law. Once you gain influence, display it with extreme restraint. Power shown too quickly creates fear. Power shown too loudly creates enemies. Power shown too often creates boredom. But power shown rarely creates legend. Be selective, quiet, strategic. Let your influence be felt, not flaunted. Let others talk about your decisions, not your declarations. A ruler who whispers commands is obeyed more than one who shouts. The closing principle: ascend without shadow, influence without trace. The highest level of social mastery is not being feared. It is not being worshipped. It is being trusted. To rise through hierarchies without stirring opposition, you must move like wind. Present but intangible, strong but invisible, necessary but unobtrusive. Let your ambition be silent. Let your presence be undeniable. Let your rise be inevitable. This is how one connects with the powerful. This is how one climbs without being noticed. This is how one becomes the quiet architect behind the visible throne.